Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the Concerned East Penn Taxpayers Association meeting for February. A few preliminaries we got out of the way. The restrooms are over here. There are refreshments over there. And with that, would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? The flag is back there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can be seated. Another announcement. Next month, we're going to have a debate between the candidates for the 131st State Legislative District. It's Justin Simmons and Bev Bowser. And Bev's in the back there. Bev, would you like to wave to everybody? Well, she's busy, so. All right, we have other business that we need to attend to. This was supposed to be done last month, but we had to cancel because of the weather. So, we need to nominate and elect our board of directors. And a nominating committee from the board of directors. Roger, do you have a report?
Nominating committee for the board, we only have 5 people that we have nominated. There's still 2 open that are temporary positions, which were created 2 years ago. But the 5 people that we're nominating are myself, Roger Worley, Alice Lozer, Julia Sayre, Bill Tonke, and Edgar Hausman. Those are the 5 nominees.
You've heard the report of the nominating committee. Again, there's 2 openings. Does anybody else want to nominate an additional person? Remember, you have to be a dues-paying member of CEPTA. Hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations.
Make a motion to
Moved by Bill Tonke, second by John Donchez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. That takes care of the board of directors. Oh no, we have to have a vote. All those in favor of those nominations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those 5 board members are appointed for another year. Next year will be the officers. We have 4. There's 2 vacancies. That's the 2 that's actually on the board that's vacant. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure. I've known this man for quite a few years. He's a friend of all of us. He's a CEPTA member as well. But he is a financial planner and a tax expert. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Rich Schuker, your guest speaker.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and at least we had some decent weather. And I'm told that you would like to hear about taxes, okay, and what Donald Trump is doing. But I felt that it would be better to go back a little bit in history, and let's see what has taken place and why what he is doing is working. The one handout I have up here is a list of all the presidents. The reason I listed it out, to put that out, is the second handout here is the direct revenue that the federal government has received every year since 1980. The taxes is what drives the revenue. If we have a good tax program, then we have good tax revenue. If we have bad tax programs, we have terrible revenue. But what's interesting about this, Ronald Reagan took office in 1981. In 1981, the average revenue that year was $1 trillion. Because of his tax programs, cutting the taxes for the working people is actually what he did. They call it trickle down because people up top cut a tax rate. But so did the working people. And the working people know how to handle the money a lot better than government does. Anybody here disagree with that statement? Government wastes money like it's water. And the more they have, the more they spend and the more they waste. And that's a problem. By the time he left office, the revenue for the federal government went from $1 trillion to $1.8 trillion. He almost doubled it by helping the middle class. Now, what's interesting about this program is until William Jefferson Clinton got in office and changed the taxes, revenue constantly went up. In fact, it reached its max in 2001. From 1980 through 2001, revenues to the federal government went up every single year. When Clinton passed the tax increases that went into effect right as he was leaving office, revenue dropped from $3.5 trillion down to $3.2. Why? Because the people no longer had this money. The government took it from the people. I call it financial theft. Then it was 3.2, 3.3. When Bush took office, we were fighting off a recession, but nobody wants to talk about Clinton's recession. The market started collapsing in 1998. And it bottomed out after Bush was in office. What did Bush do to turn this around? No, he didn't. He cut taxes. Okay? And then what happened? Revenue went back up. It went from 3.3 up till 2007 to 5.1 trillion. Who took control of the House and Senate in 2008? Democrats. It went from 5.1 to 4.6 to 3.6 trillion in 2009. That's losing almost 30%. What did they do? They took the money from us. The one thing that Obama really did accomplish, better than any other president in history, he transferred more wealth to the top 1% than any president in history. That money came from us and went to his 1% friends. In 2012, the revenue dropped to 4.8. It's now up to 6.2. When revenue falls, it's because government is taking too much of our money. Now that is the actual history right off the federal government website. I'm not going to go into this, but there's a handout here. The 5 biggest failures from President Obama's stimulus plan. You know, the one that was supposed to help us? The one where he bailed out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and the guys there retired with multi-million-dollar pensions. That money came from us to them. As far as I'm concerned, that's theft. Now we know what's happening in the stock market. If you look at the jobs reports, if you look at small businesses' confidence in what's going on, it's all positive. But if you listen to the left, aren't they saying, Obama did this? Isn't that what they're telling us?
He also wanted to make.
Well, what Obama did do is student loans are now at an all-time high. Under Obama, food stamps was at an all-time high. Federal debt was at an all-time high. Money printing was at an all-time high. Health insurance costs, all-time high. Labor participation rate at an all-time low. Housing ownership, all-time low. Median income, household income, $5,000 drop. Workers' share of the economy at an all-time low. If the press, and I call it the communist news network, if they would be telling everybody the truth about what happened under Obama, would he be a highly rated president? He will go down as the worst president ever in the history of this country. There's no question about that. A couple other little differences. GDP growth under Reagan was 18.5% over the 8 years. GDP growth under Obama over 8 years was 6.7. That's pathetic. Household income under Reagan was up 4.3%. Under Obama, it was down 4.75. Payroll jobs under Reagan was up 11%. Under Obama, they were down 2.3%. Long-term unemployment was down under Reagan 49%, was up under Obama 11%. There's a couple other indexes there also. There's a handout for this. And I love to hear liberals try to tell me how great that man was, or how bad Trump is. I love when we try to have these discussions. 160 million plus Americans see more money in their paychecks starting February 1st. 160 million. Why? He cut the taxes for businesses. I have to laugh when I hear somebody say, well, the businesses have to pay more taxes. No. Businesses don't pay taxes. We pay them. Every expense that a business has is in the cost of the product. Who buys the product? We do. So if they say, oh, the businesses need to pay more. No, they're saying you need to pay more. We want more of your money because the businesses don't pay the taxes. Because of the tax cut, they're stating that $94 billion of additional pay will be paid into the Americans in 2018. They're going to have $94 billion more money to spend. And in 2019, they anticipate this to go up to $135 billion. Now, as the American people spend this money, what's going to happen to the revenue for the government? It's going to go up. If the people have this money to spend on themselves and their family, isn't that better than the government wasting it on welfare people? Or for illegal immigrants? Or giving to the 1% friends? It's better that we have that money. Now, there's basically 5 myths about Trump's taxes. Myth number 1, this is just a tax cut for the rich, and it will actually raise taxes for everyone else. How many of you believe that? Not even close. What that is a bold-faced lie. And I'm going to go into the specifics of why that is a lie. Myth number 2, repealing the individual mandates will raise taxes on the poor. Raise insurance premiums and kill 10,000 people a year. Yeah, well, that's impossible. Individual mandate. What was that? That was a tax on the people that can't afford to buy the insurance. That was a direct assault against the low and middle income. Number 3, corporations and their rich owners will receive huge windfalls. I'm going to get into that one a little bit later. I love to discuss that one. Number 4, tax reform will be bad for seniors. Well, if you double your credit up front and you reduce the tax rate by 20%, is that going to help the senior or hurt them? The reason that they're using that myth is, guess whose taxes are going to go up? The 1%ers. Chuck Schumer says, oh, this is bad for everybody. No, it's bad for him. Because his taxes are going to go up about $15,000 a year. Nancy Pelosi's is going to go up better than $50,000 a year. Do you think they want to pay their fair share? No, they want you to pay it for them. And tax reform won't grow the economy. It'll just cause more debt. Well, let's go back to the mandate. The biggest percentage of people paying the mandate were the middle and low class income people. And it was designed to do that. The people, the 1%ers, Obama's friends, can they afford health insurance? That's right. They don't have a problem with it. So why don't they charge them more instead of penalizing the people that need the help? This mandate was deliberately designed to hurt the low and middle class. It was actually designed to try to bankrupt them, is what it was designed for. And by repealing that mandate, the middle class are going to have a lot more money, just in that sector alone, because they will not be penalized anymore. Itemized deductions. How many people in this room itemize? Majority don't. Actually, in the state of Pennsylvania, if you look at under $50,000 income, only 15% of the people itemize. That means the majority of the people under 50,000 don't. But what's interesting with that also is, if you look at 250,000 and above of income, 95% of them people itemize. Okay? So does itemization help the majority? I'm saying the majority of the low and middle income? No. Okay? Now, the states that are complaining about Trump's tax program to eliminate the deductions, give you a $10,000 maximum deduction. Okay? The states that are complaining the most are the ones that pay the most in taxes. Connecticut, 44% of their people itemize. Are they going to get hurt? Yep. DC, 42%. Maryland, 50%. Well, down in Maryland, we have all them wackos around DC. So that's part of it. Massachusetts is 41%. New Jersey is 45%. The average income in Pennsylvania is $38,849. That's not a lot of money. Now, if you're a married couple making $38,800 and your deduction goes from $12,000 to $24,000, does that help you? Okay? So that means on $14,000 you owe taxes. So instead of paying a 15% rate, on the first $9,000 you pay a 10% rate. Is that better than paying 15? On the second $6,000, instead of paying a 15% rate, you pay a 12% rate. Are you better off? The answer in every sector of this is yes. Do you hear these numbers from the liberals? Let's look at some specifics on his tax program. Lowers individual tax rates. It goes 0, 10, 12, 22, 24, 32, 35 and 37 I don't care about. They already make too much money. Okay? Them are the ones that should be sharing their wealth. You know, like Hollywood. People like that. The standard increase in the standard deduction goes from $6,500 for a single person up to $12,700. He increased the deduction 100%. Okay? On the married couple, it goes from $12,000 to $24,000. So that means the first $24,000, there's no taxes paid, period. That's a lot better than what we had with Obama. You can deduct up to $10,000 for property taxes, local sales taxes, and stuff like that, but you cannot deduct over 10. In Pennsylvania, how many people do you think pay $10,000 in, say, real estate and property taxes, pay over 10? What percentage do you think is there? Was that? Yes. So this benefits 85% of the people in Pennsylvania. Any of you hear of the Pennsylvania Budget Policy Priority Office over in Harrisburg? Okay. It's ran by a gentleman by the name of Mark Steyer. And I believe the only math he knows is Common Core. Okay? Now what he is saying is, and this is what he's telling all the legislators, these numbers don't work this way. He did a big write-up and he defended the 1%ers in the state. They shouldn't be penalized. I think it's time we quit being penalized. That's my personal opinion. For people with children, they doubled the tax child credit. Does that help people with children? Of course it does. Do I believe in all of that? No. My philosophy is, in America, everybody should pay a little bit in. Everybody. But it should be based on what they can afford. And it should not be progressive. But if you don't pay anything in, why should you be taking anything out? Because somebody else has to pay it for you. That's why I disagree with that. And this is one I laugh at. They reduced the mortgage interest down to $750,000 a year. Now think about that. Who can afford an interest payment on a home at $62,500 a month? Can anybody in this room afford that? How about any of your kids? So why should all of this be exempt? What it is, it's loopholes. to benefit a certain group of people. We still get the medical deduction of 7.5%. We still get the charitable deductions. Of course, the mandate for Obamacare is finally gone. There's still earned income credit. There's still savings vehicles for education. They didn't change anything with 401ks or IRAs, so we get all the benefits of that. So what's wrong with this program? Really, what's wrong with this program? The problem is we all get the break, not the 1%ers. That's the biggest part of what's wrong here. Corporate tax rates dropped to 21%. Is that a good deal? You better believe it. I'm just going to flip here just a little bit. Because of the corporate tax cuts, in the state of Maryland, the Baltimore Electric Oil Company met with the Utility Commission down there and announced it will reduce rates for customers by about $103 million. Why? Is that going to hurt their consumers, or is it going to help them? It's going to help them. Because they're passing on that savings on to us because it is a cost to them. In Massachusetts, the Department of Public Utilities, same thing. Ohio Public Utilities Commission, they're demanding that they cut the rates from 35, because the rates are cut from 35 to 21%, they want a 21% reduction in the cost of the utilities out there. So who does that help the most? I mean, this is an example of these companies ripping the people off, right? Virginia, Washington, D.C., Oregon, Utah, Idaho, Colorado, and Illinois. They're all doing the same thing. Don't count on it happening here in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay? I mean, if Governor Wolf would have his way, he would double our utility cost.
He is already. He wants to put that fracking tax in.
Yep. And there's another example. We want to tax these companies, but they're going to end up taxing you. Okay? Example, you brought that up. When you meet with your legislators, and I hope you meet a lot with them, and I hope you're a pain in their neck, do you confront them about situations like that? Why do you want to allow Governor Wolf to tax us? That's what it is. It's a tax on us. It's just a con job by him. But question him about that stuff all the time. There's actually a handout up here about the actual tax rates. I'm not going to break them down. But as an example, a 10% tax rate on the first 0 to 19,000. 19,000 to 77,000, there's a 12% tax rate. Under the old program, 0 to 9,000 was at 9, and then it jumped to 15. And if you were lucky enough to make over 77,000, it is now 22 instead of 25. Now, if you look at that difference, going from 12% or 15% down to 12. Mathematically, how much does that actually reduce your taxes on the sections that's taxable to you? Anybody have a calculator? Anybody can do the math real quick? It's a 20% reduction. Your actual taxes drop 20%. And that's a large number. Now I have to laugh because all these snowflakes, I'll use that terminology, that stayed with the wealthy is going to get all the breaks. Well, if you go from 39 to 37, if you take 2 and divide 39 into it, what is the actual percentage of drop? 2%? So what's better, 2 or 20? Who gets the biggest break? If you just look at that sector. But when you look at the deductions that are being taken away from the 1%ers, they end up paying a lot more. That's actually what happens there. The Democrats want to tell people that renters are going to pay more. Will they? No. They get taxed the same way. All their taxes drop down. In fact, because of Trump's tax program, it's going to be easier for the low and middle income to buy a home. Anybody familiar with the banking regulations of how you qualify for loans? 28, 36%? Right? If you have more money, doesn't it make it easier to qualify? Certainly does. And that's actually one of the things that's happening. Because of Trump's tax cuts, the home ownership now is spiking up instead of down. I already touched on this. I wanted to make sure I made a note of this. Schumer's estimated tax increase will be $15,000 a year more. Anybody want to give him a crying towel? Okay? Actually, I'd like to see Schumer's taxes go up about $150,000 a year. For everything that he's kind of taken away from us. When Trump was first elected, do you remember what everybody was saying? What was going to happen to the economy, the market, and all that kind of stuff?
Market was going to crash.
Okay? Everything was going to fall apart. Did it? Okay? I want to go back on the market just a little bit because it was the night of the election. Everybody was predicting that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and what was going to happen is the communist agenda was going to continue to go on in this country. Okay? The market even believed that that's what was going to happen. When they announced that Trump won the election, that night the market dropped over 800 points. Why? These investors want to make sure they have their money where they're going to make money. So they sold off on what they were told was going to happen and then bought in on something they know is going to happen. And from that moment on, what has happened to the stock market? I keep saying it's never going to happen. But you know what's interesting about all of this? Back in August of last year, Hussein Obama was out there and talking about getting Hillary Clinton elected. And this is on video. He stated that everything Donald Trump was telling people could not be done. It was impossible for him to do this. It was impossible for Hussein to do it, and it was impossible for Hillary to do it, but it was not impossible for Donald Trump, and he proved that. They couldn't do this. They couldn't turn this country around the way Donald Trump has. Now, do I like sometimes how Donald Trump will say something? No. Do I care how he says it? No. What I want to see is America win and the middle class and the retired taken care of, and our military taken care of. And that's what he's doing. And I'm glad he is not politically incorrect. I'm glad he's politically incorrect. I guess that would be the best way to say it. But they made all kinds of jokes about Donald Trump the night of the election. And what he has done is just absolutely proved everybody wrong. Now, these are some of the projections that they have coming up. The amended Tax Cuts and Jobs Act would lift GDP by 1.7%, wages by 1.5%, add 339,000 jobs to the economy. Now, this was written December 18th. Well, they misstated GDP. We're already above the 1.7. They misstated the number of people working, because we're over 300,000 now. In other words, the speculation that they had of what was going to happen, he far exceeded. 154,345,000 is the record number of Americans employed. This was back in September. Never in the history of this country was there that many people employed. Why? Why couldn't Obama do that? Obama wanted the people on welfare. Okay? So he's totally turned this completely around. Now, they say that the unemployment rate is down to 4.2% as of September. And that's the lowest it's been in 16 years. Trump did that in a year, basically a year. Obama couldn't do that in 8 years. Now, if you kind of get the impression that I'm anti-Hussein Obama, you're 100% right. Because everything he did was designed to destroy this country. In October, the feds collected a record collected a record, I know it's here, $235 billion. The revenue, because of Americans going back to work, is just flowing in. The same thing happened under Reagan, when Reagan's taxes went into effect. Reagan made one mistake. He turned it around, but he didn't stop the government spending. And that's why the debt went up. And Trump has got to stop this ridiculous spending in Harrisburg, in Washington. Sometimes I think Harrisburg and Washington is almost the same. Okay, neither one of them know what's going on. But they have to cut the wasteful spending. They have to cut the waste and the fraud. And they have to put us first, we the people first. That's the way it's supposed to be. So far, this was as of February 19th, 367 companies announced tax reform bonuses, raises, and 401k hikes. 367 companies. And this changes on a daily basis. 3.8 million workers got raises, are receiving more money. So to me, does that help who the government is supposed to be helping? The answer is yes. They're supposed to be helping us, not themselves. The people that are really upset with everything that's going on here is actually the wealthy, the affluent. Because they're the ones that are paying more under this tax program. They took a lot of the loopholes out. And that's about time. California, how can I best say this? California likes the exemption because of how they tax their people. We cut that exemption out. That is a loophole, okay? So actually what happens with cutting that loophole out is, and the top tax rate for the federal government is 37%, okay? The top tax rate in California is 13%. Okay? Now, would you rather pay a 13% tax on your money or a 39% tax? What Trump has done is taken a lot of them loopholes away from California and New York and changed the tax rate using California as an example, losing the 13% tax rate. Now they have to pay 39% because it's now taxed federally. That's where a lot of this extra money is going to come from. And that's going to be a major, major difference. In New York, they are so upset with this. They're not quite as bad as California. You don't have a frown on your face, Otto.
I'm not quite following.
Okay. Well, federal, if you look at the federal, if they can deduct, say, $200,000 from their federal taxes, okay, then you don't have to pay taxes on the $200,000. They only have to pay the taxes in their state at 13%. If you take away the loophole, now that $200,000 is now taxed at the federal level at 39%. Okay?
Gotcha.
And that's what he did. He took away the loophole. Okay? Yep. I apologize. This is a lot to throw out. I know that. But California is 13, and New York is actually, I think it's around 12. I know it's on here. Around 12%. But the average for Manhattan, the average SALT deduction in Manhattan is $60,000 a year. So that's going to go from a $60,000 deduction for them people there down to 10. So that $50,000 they're going to have to pay federal taxes on, which they are not doing now. Okay?
Comment on that, Rich? Just a follow-up, that basically we, the taxpayers, were subsidizing the high tax states.
You're right. Right. The red states was subsidizing the blue states because of this. And actually what Trump has done is leveled the playing field for everybody. So therefore the blue states are going to end up paying more. One of the things that I recommend when you all get your taxes done this year, ask whoever you have your taxes done with, using Trump's tax program, how are my taxes going to change next year? Ask them. Because whatever you pay in taxes this year, which you're just going to file, next year it's going to be substantially less. So I recommend you double check that. And then make sure you reduce your deductions enough that you have that money instead of giving it to the federal government for free. Now, if you end up owing, ask the accountant to figure out how much less are you going to owe next year. work the tax program for your benefit, not for theirs. Have any questions about what I know I went over a lot in a short period of time, but any questions about the tax program, any situation you have? I do recommend get copies of this and take it with you. And if you like to aggravate liberals, take an extra copy and give it to them.
If you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll give you the mic. Anyone with a question?
Oh, there's got to be some questions here.
What about the middle-aged family with lots of kids?
We're recording it.
My question is, what about the middle-income family with lots of kids?
Okay, that's a good question. Let's do it two ways. Let's do it with no kids, okay? And then we'll do it with kids. Now, if you do it without kids, and pick an income. What income do you want to kind of target? 50 to 75,000. Okay? Under the old program, and this is under Obama's program, on the first $9,500, they would now be paying 10% on the first $9,500. On the up to $38,000, they would be paying 15%. Okay? So going up to, say, $75,000, they would be paying 25% on that amount of money. Okay? Now, under the new program, on the first $19,000, it's 10%. Okay? So that doubled that portion. From 19,000 to 77,000, it drops down to 12%. Okay? So they would never hit the 25% tax rate under the new program. So that's a win-win situation for them. Okay? So it's a win-win-win period. Now, let's take the children. If they doubled the exemption for the children, it just made it twice as beneficial as what they had before. Yes. Plus, you get more deductions up front. They doubled the standard deduction. If they're married, it goes from 12 to 24,000. So, actually, in that $75,000 scenario, they won't be paying more than 12% under Trump's program because of the deductions, but they would be paying up to 25% on some of that money under Obama's. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Anyone else? Yes. We'll get Barbara and I'll come back to you. Can anybody hear this? Oh, okay.
Are married couples penalized as far as taxes go as compared to those who are single? Because oftentimes, if a couple gets married, their tax rate goes up. So it's sort of incentivizing them to live together outside the bonds of marriage.
Well, actually, this balances it out more. Okay? As an example, if you're a single filer, zero, you pay exactly the same tax rate, okay? On $0 to $9,000 is 10%, okay? If you're married, you get the 10% tax rate times 2 because there's 2 of you, okay? So if you're single for that individual, your tax rate is exactly the same as a married person would be filing as an individual. In other words, they're not really gouging them the way they used to. Okay? And then, of course, the standard deductions, everybody, there's no, you get the standard deduction if, or if. No. This is a standard deduction. Everybody can take them. They're not discriminating against anybody. Okay?
Rich, two questions. One is, can you tell me how this affects younger people, single, living by themselves? The tax.
The tax rates, their tax rates will go down. Okay? Because the deduction is doubled.
Right.
Okay? The standard deduction is doubled.
Right.
And they balance the tax rates. In other words, if you look at the way Obama had it set up, and the federal government has had it set it up for years, they penalized. Okay? This balanced a lot of that out to make it more fair and more just.
Okay. Second question is, you gave some examples in terms of with the seniors. Is there anything else as far as deductions that have been given to seniors, okay? Or does the playing field still stay the same, okay? If you understand what I mean.
Now, one more time.
Well, the question is there anything else as a senior do I have to look forward to under this tax that you haven't mentioned that will kick in at another time?
Well, the tax rates are set in for a couple years.
Okay.
Okay? And the left wants to say, well, this isn't permanent. Okay? Well, I want to go back to Reagan. When Reagan passed the taxes, was it permanent? Yes. Until the government changed the regulations.
It only
Okay.
changes when the legislation changes.
And that's what they did. Now, what they also did, to not state this was permanent, they got more votes to get it done. So will this have to be dealt with down the road? Again, the answer is yes. But you can count on that on almost anything that they pass. So yes, it's going to have to be dealt with again.
Anyone else? I'm sure you have a question about your taxes. This is the man to ask. Come on. Anybody? All right, Rich, thank you very much. Let's have a big
Did you have a question?
Oh, we have a question here?
Well, I was just going to say, I read in the tax form the other day that people over 65 get the 24 deduction if they're married, and they also get a little bit more, like 26,800 or something like that. Did you know about that?
Yeah, there's some exemptions
If they're
there.
over 65.
Yep, for over 65.
So it is a little bit more than 24.
Yes, yes. The one thing, you brought up another thought, and something that I wanted to mention and I didn't, and this has to do with the mandate. How many of you knew there were special exemptions in the mandate? Well, if you are, for example, anyone who is homeless, faced eviction, foreclosure, they're not required to obtain insurance under the mandate. So they put a lot of exemptions in there that we were never told about. And that's one of the reasons this thing really hasn't worked. Okay? And basically what they did is targeted the working people to pay this penalty and try to exempt everybody else. Yes, the Muslims are exempt, the illegals are exempt. Okay? So they want us to fill in all of these gaps. This is one of the things I disagree with all politicians. Now, I know a lot of you know I met with a lot of them. You know how many of them really know what's going on? And I don't care what subject you go and talk to them about. You know, I follow this pension issue in the state like I'm wearing a glove. Okay? And I'm constantly after them about this. And when I point out that somebody like the SCRS sends a statement out to their members stating we made all of this money, and then you look at the annual report and they lost all of this money, which one is true? Okay? They don't know. Oh, I have to check into this. Why didn't you check into it before? Okay? But I don't care what subject it is you talk to them about, they don't have a clue. Now, my opinion when it comes to this subject is this. If we want to clean out Harrisburg or we want to clean out Washington, what we have to do is clean out the leaders in both parties. They both have to go. They're too dumb. Okay? They're the ones that have all the connections with the lobbyists. If you follow the money, that's where the majority of the money goes, from lobbyists. And then they then pass it on to the lackeys that follow them within the GOP or the Democrat Party. And if they don't like you, or if you step on their toes, then they're going to turn on you. And I want to use an example for this one. Tom Cottadriello, he come up here and spoke. He's a good man. He's worked his butt off on the pensions. He's worked his butt off to get school taxes. But he stepped on Governor Wolf's and leadership's toes. So guess what they tried to do to him? They wanted to file charges against him about sexual assaults. That never happened. His party did that to him, but now he realizes it. Okay? But that's what they're going to do, and they're going to try to control their members every way that they can. So every chance you get, be in your legislator's face. If you, the way I like to say it is this. If you call up on the phone, and like I do a lot, yes, Rich, they know who I am because I am on the phone all the time. They should be answering the phone and mentioning your name. Then you have their attention. Okay? And if they disagree with you, ask them to prove it. If they disagree with you, say, prove it. Prove I'm wrong. Or I will prove you're wrong. And that's what we need to do. To straighten all this out. I'm sorry I got off track there, but...
Oh, I see some hands here. Edgar, ladies first.
Is it true that, I don't know, anything you hear on the news anymore is usually false, but does this tax plan benefit renters over homeowners?
Does the bill benefit?
Renting renters over homeowners? No.
It gives them the same break. Okay? But it makes it easier for renters to buy. That it does do.
Also, is Social Security going to go to a sliding scale?
That has not been brought up in any of this, in the tax plan. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, they've been talking about it, they've been talking about changing it. Okay? Actually, what they're trying to do is persuade the people to believe that Social Security is an entitlement. Social Security is not an entitlement. We have been forced to pay into Social Security all of our lives.
And our employers.
And our employers. We've been forced to do this. But I'm glad you brought that subject up. Because I went to my federal legislator. And I said to the federal legislator, I want to be on the exact same pension fund you're on. Okay? And he says, what do you mean by that? I said, half of my Social Security money, like yours, goes into Social Security. My portion of Social Security goes into Social Security. Yours goes into the federal pension fund. I want mine and my family's to go into the federal pension fund, just like yours. His response was, well, people don't know how to invest. I said, that's easy. Okay? Well, no, it's easy. 5, 5, 10. The 10 top mutual funds, or the 5 top mutual funds over the last 10 years, and you take the 5 best funds inside of them funds, and that's where you put your money. And just reanalyze it all the time. Now the difference is this. If I would have been allowed to do this when I was 25 years old and been on their program, my Social Security check per month would be what I'm getting from Social Security on an annual basis. That's how much of a difference it is. And I gave that paperwork showing history to the legislator. I said, this is what I want, and this is what I want for my son. Now, if he can't have it, why do you feel you're so much better than he is? Good point, isn't it? Now, I'll give Bush some credit. He tried to privatize part of it. They should have privatized all of it. Because if they privatized all of it, it would be in your name, not the government's name. You know, when my dad passed away, guess what happened to the Social Security check? It went away. It just disappeared. It didn't matter that he paid in 65 years or 60 years, whatever it was. When one of the parents dies, so does the check. And that's money that they put in all of their lives that should stay with the family, not be stolen by government. Sorry I got off on that one. That one aggravates me. Great.
There was one other question. I hear a lot of these companies are giving these little perks to their employees, such as wellness programs, gyms in the company, promoting healthy prevention, you know, and also even massage therapy. Is that because they're getting all these benefits from the tax plan, or is this also something that they're doing to get a kickback from the government?
What are you talking about, these companies that are doing this?
Yeah, I heard it. They're, you know, one's putting in gyms in their building, and the other's giving massages to their therapists, to their employees, and, you know, encouraging healthy lifestyles. And by them doing that, are they getting kickbacks from the government for doing that?
No, not so much from the government. Basically, with a lot of these type of programs like this, there's people that work at that particular company that have connections to these organizations. Okay? So they hire these companies in to do this, and then there is a kickback, but it's normally on a local level. Okay? Now, I want to use this as an example because this has to do with the pensions. Okay? Because most of the pension companies use investment bankers, do they have to pay them? The answer is yes. Investment bankers charge a fee. Okay? So the more money that they get and the more favors that they get, say from Harrisburg, That's where a lot of the campaign money goes back and forth. Okay? Now, if these pension funds would eliminate the investment bankers and put 100% of the money down here with Vanguard, what would Vanguard charge them? They would charge the fees to administer the accounts like everybody else pays. No additional fees, no commissions, no trail commissions, nothing. And also in that particular situation, the state or the pension fund could fire Vanguard like that. And they would not lose one penny because there's no penalties to take the money out. With the funds that we have today, the way they're handled today, many times they tie this money up for a year, 2 years, 3 years in these plans. You can't move the money out, even if it totally fails, because you get penalized. You can eliminate all of these fees. But this is an example how that works in a big circle. And it's why the legislators don't want to eliminate the investment bankers, because there's money coming into them. If they did it with Vanguard or Franklin Templeton, Pioneer, they could get all this stuff for free. And they wouldn't be being paid off.
I heard about this 5-6 years ago. That's still going on? They didn't clean it up?
No.
Use the pinstripe pinstripe.
I sit down, every report that comes out from the P's and the S's, I read them, cover to cover. And the first person I call once I'm done is Tom Cotter Young. And then I sit down at his desk across from him, and we go page by page through the report, and we also go page by page of everything that they send out to the people. So he knows exactly what lies they're saying.
Wow.
Okay? John McGinnis is the only certified financial planner out in Harrisburg. And leadership tells him he's full of crap. He's nuts. He don't know what he's talking about. But he is the only certified financial planner out there. So yes, it is still going on.
Question here.
How about our guys in Harrisburg as far as their insurance? How come they're not on my insurance?
How come, but why, they're not on your insurance?
Yeah, medical.
On your medical? Oh, they got special privileges.
They shouldn't. They should have the same I have.
Well, I agree, but they have special privileges.
I get them on our plan.
This is one point that I want to make. There is never equal rights. Okay? There's special rights for special people. Okay? And they're the ones that try to run roughshod over us. They all want special rights and special privileges. And we need to call them on this and call them out. Go ahead.
I have 2 questions for you, and answers.
I charge you for the second one.
The first one is,
Yeah, push the button with
I talked
the,
to a guy years ago.
it's not on it.
Maryland. Okay, a guy down in Maryland, he worked for the IRS. And he told us that there was money in there for 100 years and they never spent it all. Next thing happened was the government put IOUs in there and took it out.
Yep.
You don't hear nothing about that.
Why do you think they're saying Social Security is broke?
Yeah,
Social Security isn't broke.
they stole
There's
it.
IOUs there, okay? But who owes the IOUs? We do. Why? Because they misused the money. And the biggest misuse of Social Security goes back to Johnson. When he took the money out of there, put a major IOU in there to enhance the welfare system. Now, what's our debt today in this country? 20 trillion? 21 trillion? Guess how much we spend on welfare? And it failed. 21 trillion. In other words, if they wouldn't have stole that money out of there, if they would have taken that money back during that period of time and invested it in Vanguard, in their index fund, we could all stop paying Social Security and receive a check for the rest of our life because there would be that much money there. They took the money and blew it, is what they did. And then they're going to continue to do that until we hammer them against waste and fraud.
Next question. If you remember back when Trump took office, all the politicians that were running with him got PO'd at him. Tell the reason why.
What was that again?
Tell the reason why Trump, the people in Washington, all the senators and the other people that were running for office, all are pissed off at him. Tell them why.
Because Trump told the truth, number one. Okay?
Not really. They were wanting to run and they were going to steal our money.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's a lot of them that were, Jeb Bush, you know, they want to talk about such a good job Jeb Bush did down in Florida when he's governor. Well, look up the records. Look up the debt in the state of Florida. He did the same thing Obama did. He doubled it. So how did he really help that down there? He did. Kasich, out in Ohio. Oh, I did such a great job out here. What shape is the state in? If he did such a great job, why is the state so bad off?
Why is California?
Well, California, that's a different subject completely. That's the communist arm of America.
How many billions of dollars in debt?
All right, anyone else with a question for Rich? Well, I see one over here.
You don't have to answer if you want to. Not about tax reform, but the stock market.
Okay.
So you hear all things, oh, it's the best thing, there's no bear market, and then some other guy said it, we've just seen the appetizer and the main meal's yet to come, so.
Well, with the market, 99.9% of the time, if you listen to the stockbrokers, they are going to tell you the direct opposite of what the mutual fund companies are going to tell you. Okay? Now the reason for that is this. Mutual funds invest in for a long term. The average life expectancy of a stock inside of a mutual fund normally is 5 years. Okay? They're looking to hold on to it for that period of time. So they're looking to make money over the long haul. How do stockbrokers make their money? You need to sell. This may go down. You better sell this. Oh boy, I get another commission. Oh, no, buy over here. I get another commission. So normally they contradict each other.
That's called churning.
Huh?
That's called churning.
Yes. But it's legal as long as they get your permission to do it. Okay? Now, JP Morgan just announced that they believe that the Trump stock market is going to be a greater growth than what Reagan had. And normally JP Morgan goes against that. Okay? They're announcing at their stockholder meetings that they're anticipating the best stock market ever in the history of America. They are agreeing. Now, does that mean we're not going to have this? No. We are going to have this. Okay? For my clients, I always want them to try to remember this. If the market's going up, guess what it's going to do at some point? It's going to come down. And it's going to come down for more than one reason. One reason is we have people like Warren Buffett, George Soros, that can sell enough stock to make the market move. And when they want to make the market move to pick up a bunch of bucks, what are they going to do? They're going to sell. Okay? And as soon as they do the sell motion, the brokers get on the phone and say, "Look, you better sell, it's going down, you better sell, it's going." They're going to drive it down. But then what happens? Okay? The stock market is like being on an escalator, and you're playing with a yo-yo. The yo-yo constantly goes up and down, but the higher you go up on the escalator, what happens? It's higher. And that has been proven throughout all of history. The 2007 and 8 crash, which was actually caused, it was deliberately caused by the Democrats. Okay? If you would have put your money in 2006, left it there, forget about it, I don't own it, today you'd have substantially more than you did in 2006. It'd make it all back, plus profit. Okay? So I tell them, don't worry about the market. The market will take care of itself. But the market will always go down the minute the federal government gets involved and says, I want more taxes. The market will always go down because of that. Because that's taking money away from America. That's actually siphoning money out of America. And the market knows that. They know profits are going to go down. And that's when the market's going to get like this. The other thought I want to give you about the market is this. If we go back to the beginning of Obama, and the market moved 100 points, that was nothing. That's just a minor correction. Okay? Now, if you compare that to today, where we have 400-point movements, and they say, oh, look what Trump's doing. What's the percentage? The market is so much higher today. So the percentage of movement doesn't matter. What matters is it constantly goes up over a period of time. What matters is people continue to have money and spend it. That's going to make the market go. That's going to fix some of our problems here, as long as we can take and tie the hands of the legislators to stop the waste and fraud.
And also then with the tax bill and doing all the positives that you've just outlined, it also was bringing money back from overseas into this country.
Oh, yes. Yes. A lot of the companies have already agreed to build a bunch of plants in this country. Okay? Now, the other thing that's happening that you brought up is this. All the solar panels that are being made overseas, okay, he put a tariff on it. Okay? A 50% tariff. Guess what them companies want to do now? They want to build plants in this country. Now, if they do that, did it work? If they build the plants, we have construction. If we hire people, everything, Trump won. He bluffed them, is what he did.
He's a good businessman.
He's a good businessman. Yep.
All right, folks, anything else for Mr. Schuker? If not, please give him a big round of applause. We do appreciate it.
Make sure you take copies.
Yes, there's copies here. Thank you, Rich.
Yep.
Is there any other business to be brought before CEPTA? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Moved by Edgar and second by Bill Tunke. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's adjourned. We have refreshments here.